It is kind of a sad flag, isn't it?
Is that where it's at all the time, too?
All right, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to our consensus agenda.
Hey, I move that we approve the vouchers that were done in the month of, no, actually 2/28 and 3/8. Payrolls 4 and 5. Those all come out to a total of $742,886. I'm sorry, $742,886.57. Plus, I believe we have minutes from our last meeting that we need to approve also.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. On to patrons' comments. We do have someone walking in the door. Patrons' comments?
None online.
All right, we will move on to personnel.
All right, I'd like to begin by recommending the approval of Zach Schaefer as the junior high golf coach.
I so move. Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item, I believe last month we talked a little bit about a circumstance that came up that the individual that we approved originally that could not do a maternity leave. So we are recommending the approval of Susan Stackhouse as the maternity leave sub-teacher.
I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Since our last meeting, we posted the position for Trojan singers. That's something that went away for just because of lack of interest for a couple years, and that is the interest is back up in that, and we have an individual that's excited about that opportunity. So I would recommend the approval of Candace Haynes for the Trojan singers.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Kevin, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Very similar to what we talked a little bit about in the sub area, I'd like to recommend the approval of Justina Faulkner for the junior high girls track coach.
I so moved.
I heard Steve first.
Second.
Okay. Been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I'll go ahead and lump the next two in, but I am excited to recommend the approval of Mark Elliott as the varsity baseball coach. Along with that, I'd like to recommend the approval of Ryan Kaufman as his varsity assistant baseball coach.
So moved.
I move that we approve that.
Okay, I heard Steve first, and I heard Ken second.
I will do a second.
Oh.
We don't mess around.
Got a place to be tonight, Steve?
Any
Just
discussion?
sit here and look at each other.
All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Similar to the last, I would like to recommend the approval of Madeline Anderson as the JV softball coach and Alexandria Stevens as the volunteer softball coach.
I move we approve that.
Second.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Wes, very quickly. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
And last but not least, we probably should have done maybe this before we recommended the individual for the position, but just the approval, I recommend the approval of the extracurricular contract for Spanish Club and Trojan Singers, which we have discussed and have posted and feel like we have a really good candidate for that. So I'd recommend those two pieces.
I so move.
Candace is probably doing Spanish Club too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to other business.
I recommend the approval of the copy paper purchase.
Move we approve the copy paper purchase.
Second.
Moved by Wes, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I recommend the approval of the purchase of 225 Chromebooks. That is actually going to replace 3 grade levels, which is on our process or on our plan for, I guess, replacing 3 grade levels a year. We are ordering those now, which seems early, but we're ordering those now simply because they said it's about a 5-month lag because of so many people going to that option in schools. So the distribution of that is slow. So I'd recommend that we get the ball rolling, get signed up for those so we can hopefully get those around and ready for August.
I move we approve that purchase.
Been moved by Steve,
Second.
seconded by Wes. Any discussion?
What grade levels is that going to be for?
So we switched that up just a little bit. So we're going to do 3rd, 5th, and 6th. So originally we were going to do 3rd, 6th, and 10th. And just so happened, if you remember last year, we purchased a lot of those. So that typical rotation is a little bit out of whack. So we are to the end of the life of those other ones. So we're just going to get on that rotation and get going. So because we did purchase so many of those last year, replacing the old HPs, if you remember, we took those out and a lot more of our staff went to the Google Chromebook. So we have a lot more new on campus right now than we typically would. So that typical rotation will go 3rd grade, okay? But we added 2nd grade to that rotation the year before. So they will get the leftovers from that, all right? 6th grade, and then typically 10th grade.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I'd like to recommend a resolution to oppose legislation, which is House Bill 1005. If you're familiar with that, that's just an expansion of vouchers. I sent we had a discussion meeting last week. We talked a little bit about that. We're also doing a joint agreement with our Triton Teachers Association and our board president that just simply says that we continue as a public institution to receive approximately 60% of the money, even though we are educating 90% of the students in the state. And the concern we have, once again, we don't have a lot of private schools around us. It's not necessarily that that's not a great option if you're in a Fort Wayne or a Gary or Evansville or those type of Fort Wayne, those type of places. But the bottom line is they can pick and choose what students walk in their door. And essentially they get their accountability is exactly like our accountability is. So really all I would ask as the leader of this school corporation is the fact is that we're going to make that a level playing field. If we're going to monitor scores and we're going to do that, let's make sure that everybody plays, with the same rules. So my philosophy through this has also been that, if we need to get better, then that's up to us to improve. We need to be the school of choice. We compete against other schools in our region. They may not be private schools, but we're still competing. So we just need to continue to improve, continue to be that choice school in our area, whether that's private or public or whatever that may be, homeschool. So I guess our commitment is to say we don't like this bill and what it says to public educators and public schools, but in the end, we're committed to continuing to improve to make sure that we're being competitive in that market as well.
I move that we approve that resolution, we sign it, we send it to our state legislators, and one of my biggest concerns with this is that the lack of accountability, and I look at Tom over there, every 2 years he gets audited. He's got to have all these ducks in a row. Don't know that happens at some of the private schools and those kinds of things, and I think that's lacking some accountability on their part.
And I think to that point, we talk about education savings accounts, right? Mm-hmm. We're in a situation right now where, you know what, just like all schools are not created equal, all homeschools are not created equal. But I will tell you that it's very, very difficult for an individual who has been part of a homeschool for a long time to come back into the system and take the proper documentation, make sure that they're on pace to graduate, and typically we have to pick up some of those pieces. And I'm not complaining about that because we're going to try to do what's best for kid, but if we're truly going to do what's best for kid, then when we're doing those homeschool situations or the private school situations, I feel like we need to make sure that we're keeping them on pace to graduate and be a productive citizen as well. So like you're saying, we're homeschooling, but they haven't done anything for the last 2 years. And that's really, really frustrating because of the lack of accountability and a lot of times where that goes. So we have a lot of great homeschooling families in our corporation. I want to make that very clear. That is not pointing one out. That is just simply, by and large, we find a lot of difficulty when they try to transition back in of them not being on pace to either graduate or with their peers when it comes to their ability to succeed.
I'll second, and I will point out, thank you to Steve and
Yes.
Jeremy. I don't know who else was involved with the resolution draft. But
Yeah,
good
thank you.
work, guys.
I'll third that motion, and Ken, I'm sure you'll fourth it, so.
All right.
I think also we should, I think Senate Bill 412, I believe, is
412 and
on the
413.
resolution.
Yep.
I did see that I think 413
Is off.
didn't
You're correct.
make it through the Senate.
You're correct.
So that one is no longer valid, but it was right at 412, 413 were the same basically as 105 in the
Yeah.
House. So,
And the concern is maybe that's not in 1005, but where does that end up landing, you know, as legislation continues through this session? So we have a lot of people, State Board of Educators, ISBA, the Indiana School Boards Association, Principals Association, Superintendents Association, that
school
continue to,
business officials.
yeah, absolutely. IASBO, that continue to keep us up to date on what's happening on a daily basis, because they can sneak those in very easily.
All right, it's been moved by Steve, second by Wes, third, fourth, fifth. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Last but not least, I recommend the approval of the items for the FFA auction. Just keep in mind that we don't have all of the items that are going to be in that auction. These are simply the items that are coming from the corporation as excess. So there will continue to be additions to that list. In fact, I will tell you that I just received information today that Jesse, our joint education service, is moving from one of the elementary schools at Plymouth to the new Lincoln Education Center, which is the old school, but the front. So they're going to have office space in there, and they're going to be getting rid of some furniture, office furniture and that type of thing. And they are going to donate it to our auction for our profit. So they're not charging anything. They don't want anything in return. They just want a place to be able to sell that and make sure that it's given to
Done
the
proper.
public of Marshall County.
Okay.
So I would approve that list to go to auction at the FFA auction.
You move to approve it.
I move it. I'll move it. I move to approve that list.
I'll second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken.
Semantics West.
Did we skip a business
I
donation?
think that's part of your, isn't that part of your,
The business
Jesse,
donation.
or not?
Oh, I sure did skip that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you.
We'll come back to that.
Can we come back to that?
We'll come back to that.
Oh, you said last but not least already.
Sorry.
All in favor? I will say that the FFA auction this year is all online. Bidding will start on that Saturday and end on the, Orion, is it the 14th? Whatever the Wednesday after the 10th is. So it will only be online this year
And
because
that
of
is April, correct? I mean, the
Yes,
10th, the
April.
14th of April.
April the 10th. And if you want to advertise anything into the auction, you need to have it to the FFA by March the 5th. It's a Wednesday, 25th or
April?
24th? No, March.
You said March 5th. That was last week.
25th
25th.
Okay.
to advertise either the, it's
Okay.
either, whatever Wednesday it is, if it's the 25th or 24th, that's the deadline to get it in the sale bill and get it published online.
Okay. I will speak with Linda Holland on that because I know that that transition is likely taking place over spring break. So that should be good timing, but if they can catalog some of that and then we can get it, we'll try to make that happen. Thank you for that date.
Mhm. All right, then we will move on to the business donation.
Yes, I'd like to recommend the approval of the business donation. We had an individual, a business owner in the community that has reached out to us and simply says, you know what, your school corporation has blessed our students. We want to bless not only the students, but the teachers that have made an impact in our students' lives, and they donated $10,000 to our school corporation for multiple different things. I will tell you that today both staffs were given some popcorn and some donuts and stuff like that. They just simply said, you know what, utilize this money to bless our staff kind of randomly, and when you feel like they need a pick-me-up. I will tell you, they've also asked that a couple different teachers that really bless their kids be blessed with a little bit of that donation. Also, some of that can go towards our character development funds, and or if an individual is in need when it comes to, you know, whatever that might be, we can designate those funds. But I want to pass that through here to say thank you to them. We had another family that's near and dear to the corporation. Once again, their students have gone through here, gave a $500 donation, just to say, once again, we had a great year when it came to business, and we want to make sure that Triton knows that we're appreciative of that. So, so just, they have asked to be anonymous, so I'm trying to respect that, but I hope they listen, and I hope they know who they are, and I just want to thank them.
We need to approve that.
Yes, I recommend that we approve the business
So
donation.
I move we approve that business donation.
I guess. I'll second.
So moved by
Thank you.
Steve, seconded by Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor? And once again, thank you to those anonymous
Yes,
donors.
much appreciated.
All right, Superintendent's Report.
All right, I would like to report out on the continuous improvement. We had our first Saturday digital learning day to make up for our February 5th instruction. We'll continue to monitor the need for makeup days in the future, which the first question is, do we have any more of those? Will we be doing any more of that? And I would just simply say, for now, we will not be doing another digital learning day, but obviously, I think, what was it, probably in January, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, not having any cancellations, and then February hit. So as of right now, we will not do that. I will tell you that we have sought feedback from both parents and students and our teachers when it comes to digital learning, and things seem to have gone pretty smoothly. There's always the individuals who don't finish the assignments, and just like there is on a daily basis, but we're continuing to track those down, and we feel like it was as concerning as it was for many when we said it was going to be taking place on Saturday. I think they very quickly understood that it was a window of opportunity to complete those things, even though they may have had a wrestling meet or a band concert or those type of things. I think our teachers did a really, really good job of keeping that reasonable, but yet effective. So that's the report out on the digital learning day. The technology integration, I've done my best to not step on your guys' toes at the building level, all right? So if I do that, I apologize. Technology integration specialist, director of technology and building level leaders will be meeting on Wednesday, continue to review, listen, and make a plan for continuous improvement for both digital learning and classroom instruction. In the coming months, we will compile information and create a plan for classroom upgrade using the ESSER monies, which is the kind of the CARES Act monies for schools. The ESSER simply stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. So that's in response to COVID. That is in response to helping schools in some areas get back in session. One of the allowable expenses for that is technology. So we're going to utilize a piece of that money to upgrade our classrooms and make sure that we're continuing to be more compatible when it comes and or up to date with that instruction. So we have a team of people that are going to be getting together, trying those things out, making sure that we're being fiscally responsible with that choice. Shared leadership, everyone's pitched in to continue to make progress and continue to keep our scholars safe. During our directors and principals meeting last Wednesday, through discussion, we found a couple holes in our processes and made quick work to get those resolved. So it's always good to sit around with directors and leaders and just simply talk about what we do and how we do it. And we came across a situation where we thought something was working and it wasn't, and it was able to be rectified very quickly. So I appreciate the shared leadership that happened there. February 17th, as you guys are well aware, and we tried to keep that as low as possible so people didn't have to panic about it, but we had a main water line break right at door 5, very, very close to the gymnasium, which you can imagine would have been very, very difficult to swallow as we move into, or we're in the middle of basketball season and so on. But I'll tell you, a lot of people were involved in expediting that process. Maintenance department, Bruce Gephardt, Bourbon Town Department, and then Barry Baker from the Etna Green Town Department actually passed us on a name that was able to fix that in a timely fashion. They were here until about midnight one night, which is actually why we had the boil order and all of that. But I will tell you that was without damage outside of fixing the water line. Social responsibility, we've already thanked the families that donated to Triton School Corporation, so I just want to make sure I thank them for their the $10,000 donation and another $500 donation to bless our scholars and teachers. United Way, we received a grant just last Friday, I guess it would have been, for $7,500, which will allow us to bring Nathan Harmon back to present to our scholars and actually do some small group interventions with our scholars. If you remember, he talked about life speaks. He had just a hit for our students, just connected with them so well. He'll actually be able to break that down into a little bit smaller groups. We're also going to bring a gentleman in by the name of Jermaine Galloway. Tall Cop Says Stop, just to talk to our teachers a little bit about the trends when it comes to drug use and the drug culture, and how we can continue to support our scholars when it comes to those decisions and what's out there, what to look for. Continue to be on the up and up on that. I thank the Bourbon Fire Department once again for escorting our sectional champions boys basketball team back to campus on Saturday evening. That's a great tradition that I've never been a part of until I came to Bourbon. But I tell you what, they are excited about doing it, and the kids loved it. So thank you to them. We're currently working with the town to bring new businesses to town. I will tell you we're in the process of talking to a couple of them and just trying to do as much as we possibly can to give incentives and help them feel comfortable with those decisions. And then we're working with the town on where to put both past and updated school signage. So if you guys have seen the school, I think it says Triton Community Schools, and with the arrows, we're really not Triton Community Schools, we're Triton School Corporation, because we're 3 different communities. So we're gonna update those signs with our logo and make that a little bit more personal with some of the stellar money that's happening in town, just to clean that up and make it look a little bit nicer. I think some people have asked on the chain link fence as you come into both sides of town, there's some basketball awards and those type of thing. The Everett boys are on there, I know, and there's some others that have been recognized through that, whether it be our state championship. They're going to find a good location for that, clean those signs up a little bit. It's not going to be chain link anymore, and they're going to make that look a little bit cleaner. So they're working with us to find a good home for that. Accountability, I want to congratulate the Triton Jazz Band on a great performance last Thursday evening, and for many of the same individuals for the collective performance in the ISMA solo and ensemble competitions on February 20th. A lot of golds were achieved, so that's outstanding. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Lily Hubert and Maddie Richardson for placing 5th at the DECA state competition. And then we talked already a little bit about the review of Senate Bill 1005 and House Bill 412 and 13, so I won't reiterate that. High expectations, congratulations to Alexia Hostrauser, who received first team, and Taryn Yates, who received honorable mention for the Hoosier North Athletic Conference all-conference team. We are excited to welcome head varsity baseball coach Mark Elliott to the Triton coaching family. I loved talking to him and just listening to his philosophy about baseball and just how he wants to, raise up young men of character through the process of baseball. So obviously baseball was near and dear to my heart, and I really like the direction I think we're going to have our baseball program headed. So excited to have Mark on board. The boys and girls basketball teams both received exemplary sportsmanship reports from the IHSAA in February, so I just want to continue to draw attention to other people noticing our kids, showing that character, and just constantly reminding our students that when we lose, say little, win, say less, and just let the play on the court do the talking and continue to be high character individuals. Evidence-based decision-making. Last week we began meeting with trusted architects to begin the process of finding the best solution for secure entrances at Triton Junior Senior High School and Triton Elementary School. We're in the initial stages of working with bond counsel about how to obtain a tax-neutral bond and how to best use those dollars to keep our buildings safe and keep our campus up to safety codes. So we constantly have safety audits. We constantly have people coming in looking at our bleachers, those type of things. So just trying to knock as many of those things out while not costing our taxpayers more tax dollars is the is the hope on that, but also making sure that our buildings are safe for our students and they don't have free access to hallways if they would come into our buildings. Preschool enrollment night, I'm not going to steal Mrs. Cook's thunder on that one. So I have that on here, but I'm not even going to talk about it. No thunder. All right. We're having it. Alignment, I continue to be very impressed with the effort of our staff and scholars, just 9 days away from a much-deserved spring break. We continue to provide our scholars with a safe learning environment, great instruction, and people who care for their well-being and future. Triton Elementary staff reached across Triton Drive to thank the junior high, senior high teachers for their continued dedication and effort for Triton scholars. The favor was returned to our entire corporation today when they were treated to Bailey's kettle corn and donuts. So just once again, just trying to encourage one another to be our best. Sometimes that's food when we can't give them $1 million to say thank you. So I appreciate both staffs reaching across the proverbial aisle or proverbial street to say thank you to one another for the efforts and the job well done. So that's all I have. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
We'll open it up for patrons' comments if there is any.
Yes, Carol Anders says, I have published resolutions for other school corporations, and Carol, we will make sure we send that to you tomorrow with all of the information that I typically send you on Tuesday morning. So we'll make sure she has that signed and ready to publish.
Is that it?
That is the only one.
Okay, we'll move on to building reports.
Well, the elementary is glad for this nice breath of fresh spring weather. The kids, I don't know who's more excited to get outside, the kids or the teachers, but we are excited to have that. It's starting to feel like maybe spring break really is around the corner. We are down to, we had 2 students since last month come back, return, who have been virtual all year, so we are down to 4 students. We do have 3 on quarantine right now due to exposure outside of the building, but we, for a while, we're rocking it at 0, but we're at 3 right now. But that's not too bad. So we're glad to have all of our staff here, a lot of staff who are looking at getting the COVID vaccines as that's opened up to everyone as well. So things are kind of quiet on that front. We did finish, we loaned out some hotspots to families, all the ones that we had for the digital learning day, and I feel like that went pretty well. It could always go better, looking at how we can make that the next time that we need to do that and do even better for our families. It seems to be that not a lot of people really need the I guess outside of our times, because we didn't really have very many people come and use the access to school after hours. So that's something we'll have to look at again and see if that's really needed. This next week is really busy. We have some important things coming up. The most important thing probably are 3rd graders taking iRead 3. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. So keep them and their families in your thoughts, and encourage somebody, if you know a family of a 3rd grader, encourage them as well and their teachers just to do their best. I'll be going around in classrooms on Monday, give them some last-minute tips about, how to approach this experience. It's not a hard test. It's nothing new. It's nothing any harder than the things they haven't been doing in the last, several years. So it's everything that we learn at school. It's just they need to take the most care that they can and taking it to do their personal best. We also have a health fair on March 17th with KCH and partnering with them, and they're coming in to do that for our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. They'll be visiting that in the gym and going through some different stations by their grade level and moving along in their homerooms. When we come back from spring break, we will be hosting 2 important events. One of them is, both of them are open house style. One of them is preschool enrollment night. We actually already have almost, I think, 10 applications for our preschool, but there are 20 spots. This also gives everybody an opportunity to come and just see the space and meet the teachers, get their questions answered, find out about financial assistance and so forth. And then from one of our On My Way preschool account manager will be there as well to help guide them through that process for those who might be interested. So that is April 6th from 5 to 7. And then April 13th from 4 to 7, we have kindergarten registration for any parents. And again, they get to come see the space. We're doing it a little differently than we have in the past because of COVID, but we are allowing people in the building and during that 3-hour time span so they can ask questions, get the forms that they need filled out, and see the space and meet the teachers. Our preschool did pass their quality rating visit, and they were able to also achieve the, received $9,000 from the Come Back Stronger grant. We're excited about that. That means we can extend our learning for 3 more weeks in June for those families who are interested. We've already received back that at least 6 or 7. We just sent out a form on Friday to see who might be interested in that. And we have at least 6 of them who are going to, and probably more because we haven't heard from everyone yet, so we'll see. We're also thinking about how summer school is going to take place, and that also we're looking at for 3 weeks in June to be ending the 25th, I think, whatever that Friday is in June. And looks likely we're going to be having our preschool in session during June, also a countdown to kindergarten, which is for students who have had really little or no preschool, so coming outside of our preschool. And then also we'll be offering for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders this year. Okay, more on that to come. Also looking at social studies adoption. I think that meeting is tomorrow, and we're going to be finalizing looking at the curriculum and hopefully maybe make a decision. We're not getting new materials at all grades, but we are at some of the upper grades because it's been a long time. Okay, any questions?
Our 4th graders this year, and I read. Did they take that in the fall?
They did not, as a matter, and they were all, so we had the option to have them take it in the fall if we wanted the information. However, it wouldn't have been for any, it was totally up to schools just if they wanted the information or not. It wouldn't change anything about what placement that they were in, and we opted at the time not to take it since it didn't really make a difference as to where they were. We felt like we have enough reading data for our students, really current data, to tell us where they are and what they need in reading, that we really didn't need that. And those 4th graders got a pass. Kind of hard to believe. It was not state mandated. Nope. Okay, anything else?
Okay, for the junior senior high school, currently we have 17 students that are learning virtually. And knock on wood, and I think I'm correct here, right now we have 0 students that are quarantined. So I won't say any more about that because I don't want to jinx us. I-STEP testing, last board meeting we talked about I-STEP testing going on. I-STEP is complete, and we're now moving on to I-Learn. That'll take place starting in April. So we're preparing for that. I'd like to thank our jazz band and Mr. Seal. Last Thursday night, our jazz band got to perform. We got to have some family members and some guests into the building, which was nice. Glad we were able to finally give those students or musicians an opportunity to just show their talents. I think they were excited, and it was really good to see them performing. So good job to that group. Also for our band and even our choir students, they've been competing at ISMA. So their state contest, I know Mr. Riff will kind of reference this a little bit. So they've been competing there for the last few weeks, and that's looked a little different. They've had to do that virtually, and that brought some of its own challenges. But despite all of that, I think our students did very well, and you know, they got to shine there as well. So congratulations to them. I'd like to recognize our boys basketball team as they came away with a sectional championship this last weekend. They're going to move on to the regional tournament this weekend. Speaking about the regionals, we're going to be hosting the regional tournament this year, and I know Mason's working really hard on that this week. That's going to probably occupy a lot of his time. So he's working with the other schools. We've actually got a meeting tomorrow for the regional competition with the other schools. So we're going to be planning that and giving information out. We're also going to be communicating with parents about ticket sales and those types of things. So be on the lookout for that. Like to make everybody aware, and we did put some information out about this, but we did a lockdown drill at the junior senior high school last Thursday. Overall, I think that really went well. We did walk away with some things that we need to work on, which is why we do those drills. So I'm glad we were able to, identify some things, and now we can improve on them. I'd like to thank our Bourbon Police Department for joining us on that and just seeing how we conduct that drill, giving them the opportunity to give some feedback. And it's nice to have that partnership. So thanks to them for being involved with us. And really the last thing is just this Friday is the end of our 9 weeks. This year's flying by, but ready for that fourth 9 weeks. So if you guys have any questions, be happy to answer them. Thank you.
If there is no other business, we'll move to adjourn at 7:39.